Start with a contradiction, because this placement is built out of one. The moon in Sagittarius is the placement everyone describes as free, unattached, hard to pin down, and it is also, quietly, the most obedient placement in the chart. Both descriptions fit at the same time. The freedom is real, so is the warmth. Someone carrying this placement is genuinely generous, genuinely open, genuinely glad you exist. What they are not, reliably, is close. The warmth arrives across a distance that never quite shortens, and it is warm the whole way across. The moon in a chart is not about what you believe. It is about the thing you go to first when something has gone wrong and you need to come back to yourself. Some placements reach for a person, some reach for a room. This one reaches for a reason. And the reason is rarely built from scratch. It is handed over, early, by someone who meant well. A faith, a family motto, a rule about not dwelling on things, a way of holding hardship that made sense in the house it came from. That is the map, and it works. It works so well that it never gets questioned, which is where the loyalty lives. This placement will cross a continent without hesitating, and will not cross one sentence of the creed it was raised inside. The body roams. The orientation stays, does not move from where it was first set. So the question this reading is actually going to answer is not whether the map is true. It is where the map came from, and why nobody, including you, has walked out to check it against the ground. We will get there. First, what this placement does well. Watch what happens when something lands badly. Before the feeling is finished arriving, this placement is already reaching for the frame that will hold it. Where does this fit? What is this part of? What does this make possible that was not possible before? The second move is distance, not escape, though it can look identical from the outside. Distance is how this placement gets the frame into view at all. Standing too near a thing, it cannot see the shape of it, and the shape is what it needs in order to settle. This is why calling it optimism misses. Optimism expects good outcomes. This does not, particularly. It will accept a bleak outcome without much complaint, as long as the outcome is legible. What it cannot sit inside is an event that refuses to belong to anything. The generosity follows directly from that. If everything is part of something larger, then nothing is scarce, and there is no reason to hold back. This placement gives time, belief, and encouragement away freely, and does not experience the giving as a cost. Now the part that gets skipped. None of this was invented here. The frame was in the house before you were. Someone handed you a way of making hardship mean something, and it worked well enough that you carried it out of the house and never opened it again. XD, that is not a flaw. It is an inheritance, and it kept you upright. But an inheritance you have never opened is a different thing from a belief you have tested. There is something that has to take its place eventually, and it is smaller than what it replaces. We will come back to that. Here is where the map came from. Somewhere early, something happened that nobody in the room could hold, and instead of being held, it was explained, given a reason, placed in a larger story that made it survivable. That was a kindness, and it was also a substitution. So you learned to do it yourself, and you got faster every year. Now the reason arrives before the feeling has finished. You have the lesson before you have had the experience, and a lesson learned that early is mostly a way of not having been there for it. This is meaning used as an anesthetic. Everything happens for a reason, said quickly enough, is not wisdom. It is a way of getting the ache to stop before it has told you anything. And the ache was the only part carrying information about what you actually needed. The restlessness works the same way. Some of it is genuine appetite for the world. Some of it is a room becoming specific and specificity being unbearable, and the leaving getting called freedom on the way out. Both look like packing a bag. Only one of them is. Then there is the promise made warmly and kept loosely. It was sincere when it was said. It was said from inside the frame, where everything is possible and nothing is scheduled. The person who received it was standing in a Tuesday, and that is where it had to land. So the map has one region left blank, and it is the near one. This placement can describe the shape of a life, a decade, a whole civilization. Ask it what last Thursday was like inside its own chest, and the fine detail stops. What pulls people toward this placement is not charm exactly. It is that being near it makes your own life look bigger. It takes your half-formed idea seriously. It assumes you will do the thing. People come away from it feeling like more is available than they thought. And it gives room. It will not manage you, will not keep a private tally, will not need to know where you were. For anyone who grew up watched, that room is the most restful thing they have ever been handed by another person. Then conflict arrives, and it goes wide. You say a specific thing that happened on a specific evening, and the answer comes back as a principle, about how people are, about the general shape of it. Every sentence true, and every sentence one step further from the evening. The moon in Gemini, opposite this, does the same escape at the other scale. Gemini multiplies the near detail until nothing can be settled. Sagittarius climbs until the detail is too small to see. Same restlessness. One goes sideways, one goes up. Repair here is unglamorous and it is small. Stay in the evening. Name the one thing in the tense it happened in without lifting it into a lesson about anybody. This placement can do it. It simply has to notice that the climb has started and not climb. And what it needs from you is the opposite of pursuit. Do not close the door to keep it. Ask it a specific question and wait through the whole answer. Held loosely and asked precisely, this placement stays for decades. In working life, this is not the specialist. It is the one who can hold 6 unrelated things in view at once and say the sentence that makes them one thing. That capacity is rarer than expertise and considerably harder to hire for. It teaches well for the same reason. It does not transmit the material. It transmits the shape the material sits in, which is the part most people never get given and the part that makes the material stay. And it carries morale without trying. In a stalled room, it is the one who restores the sense that the work is going somewhere, not by reassurance, by genuinely still being able to see the destination when nobody else can. What it will not do is maintain. The founding, the opening, the reframing, all willingly. The upkeep, the second year, the same task done identically for the 90th time, and something in it goes elsewhere while the body stays in the chair. Put it in a narrow role with a fixed scope, and the trouble is not rebellion, it is drift. The attention leaves first, and the person follows months later, usually with a reason that sounds larger than the actual one, which was simply that the ceiling was low. The cost shows up as a pattern of excellent beginnings, real ones, not failures. But mastery in most fields lives on the far side of the boring middle. And this placement has to choose that middle deliberately, because nothing in it will choose it automatically. So here is what replaces the borrowed map, and it is smaller, which is why it gets refused. You draw one. Slowly, from ground you have actually walked. It will cover a fraction of what the inherited one covered, and every line on it will be yours. The practice is 1 sentence long, and it is difficult. Let the thing be bad before it is meaningful. Not forever, an hour. Long enough for it to tell you what it came to say, which it will not do once it has been promoted to a lesson. And the second practice is smaller still. Keep one specific promise in the week it was made to one person who is expecting it. This placement can keep faith with humanity effortlessly. Faith kept with a Tuesday is the harder and more adult version. There is a thing worth knowing about the moon here. In craters at its poles that never turn toward the sun, there is water ice that has never once been touched by sunlight. It has been carried, unchanged and unexamined since the beginning. And when you look towards Sagittarius, you are looking at the center of the galaxy. Everything here is turning around a point in that direction. The orientation is real, the distance is real. Neither of them tells you what happened last Thursday. You were handed a way of holding hard things before you could ask where it came from. It carried you a long way, and it was given in love. You are allowed to open it now. Keep what survives the walking and draw the rest yourself.